Did you ever want to be a superhero when you were a kid? Or better yet, did you ever imagine you had superpowers and could rescue people that were being threatened by the evils and injustices of the world? I'm pretty sure at one point each of us has wished we had a superpower that could get us out of some situation. Invisibility, when we were embarrassed by something we said. Super speed, to outrun a bully. Or accelerated healing when we're struck with the flu. Yeah. But as much as we want those abilities, we have to face the truth. We'll never be superheroes. We'll never have supernatural powers that come from an alien planet or a spider bite. But with or without those superpowers, there will still be moments in your life when the odds will be stacked against us. The obstacles will seem overwhelming, and we'll have to overcome what seems impossible. And in those moments, where can we find the power to do what we need to do? Where can we find courage that we need to face the enemies or evils in this life? We may not heroically defeat an evil nemesis, but there is a sense in which we're all called to do heroic things every day. One of the most difficult things any of us will ever learn to overcome is fear. Of course, it's unrealistic to expect anyone to become completely fearless. Rather, our goal as leaders and parents is to help our children not become paralyzed by those fears and learn what to do in the face of them. That's why we define courage as being brave enough to do what you should do even when you're afraid. Think about that. Even when you're afraid. The truth is, you will be afraid. So the question is, when fear is present, where do you find the courage to stand up or push through or keep going? Our goal as parents and leaders is not to raise superheroes, but to raise everyday heroes. We want our children to grow up facing the world with a different kind of courage. Courage to stand up against the bully. Courage to speak out for the sake of others who may not have a voice. Courage to refuse to do the wrong thing, even though the crowd seems to be pushing them in that direction. We need our children to understand, because they believe and trust in God, they have a unique source of strength and courage. As a matter of fact, we want them to memorize something God told His people as they were about to enter the Promised Land. In Joshua 1:9, God told them, "Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go." Yes, there will be times when we're going to be afraid, but we can trust in a God that is bigger than us and put our hope in a God who is with us and in control of every situation. Because of God, we can find the strength to be courageous, everyday heroes. That's also why I like the Bible stories we're talking about this month. These are all ordinary people like you and me, men and women who had no superpowers except for the fact that they knew God had a mission for them and they trusted in His promise to always be with them. First, let's talk about Moses. But before he was the Moses God used to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, back when he was a baby, Moses was born in a time when Pharaoh commanded that all Hebrew babies be killed. Moses' mother and sister had courage to keep him alive, and God rescued him through the Pharaoh's daughter, who ended up bringing him into the palace as her own son and raising him as an Egyptian. Moses' mom knew something about courage we can learn ourselves. You can do what you should, even when you don't know what will happen next. Then, there was a time Moses was watching sheep on the side of a mountain, and he saw a bush that was on fire, but it wasn't burning up. Now that alone might make you a little nervous. But then he heard the voice of God. God asked him to go up against the most powerful ruler of his time, to ask Pharaoh to set the Israelites free. In this incredible story, we see how Moses faced his fear, even though he didn't feel ready or capable or prepared. In week 3, we'll see that after Moses convinced Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, everything started looking up for the Israelites. That is, until Pharaoh changed his mind, and Moses and the Israelites found themselves trapped between the Red Sea in front of them and Pharaoh's army in hot pursuit. But with God's help, Moses showed courage in a tough situation. God made the miraculous happen, parting the Red Sea and allowing the Israelites to escape great reminder that we can do what we should even when things seem impossible. We end the month with two guys named Joshua and Caleb. After wandering in the desert, they demonstrated courage when they were sent out as spies. Then, when everyone else was scared to enter the land God had promised to the Israelites, they found the courage to speak up and remind the people that God would provide a way for them to take the land. They were brave, even when others weren't. This is a lesson we all can learn. Here's the point. We all have the potential to be everyday heroes because we're part of something that's bigger than any one of us individually. It's something that God has determined He wants to do in our generation, and we want to invite kids to take part in that mission. The important thing to point out as you read the scripture this month is that whenever there was a moment that seemed hopeless, God always showed up. It's God's presence that gives us the power to push through and do what's right. It doesn't mean that everything will always go according to plan. It just means that God will keep His promise to be with us. And courage is deciding that even when I'm afraid, I can know God is there and I can do the right thing anyway. That's what we want kids to learn when they walk away this month from your homes and your churches. We can't wait to hear their stories of courage.